Sometimes when things go wrong, you can't blame life. Cause when you shot your shot, what was your aim like? What were you targeting? Cause if it ain't right, and you still go with it, then that is on you. It's on you, it's on you, it's on you.
What's going on, you guys? This is Romi and Sam, and you are listening to the Mindset Rebooted podcast. He forgot his line. Oh, sucker. I'm gonna keep going.
And if you are a first-time listener, thank you so much for stopping by here on the Mindset Rebooted podcast. We like to have conversations that help us to elevate the way we think. And what that means is that we have old ways of thinking that have held us back in the past, and we like to take on new ways of thinking that help us to maximize our full potential and to become the best versions of ourselves.
So if you find any value in today's episode, please give us a like, a share, help us spread the word so that we can help more people.
Absolutely. And today we are going to be talking about auditing yourself and how your outbound impacts your inbound. We're going to explain all of that. But essentially, we've talked a lot about auditing your circle. And although it is important to audit your circle, the environment that you put yourself in, even more important is to audit yourself. Why? Because our behaviors directly impact what we get in life. And so before we command or demand anybody else to change, we need to first change ourselves.
Yeah, and I really like that. And I like this topic a lot because the other night I went to a concert, right? And it was a dance concert, so obviously I'm in the dance world. People know me as a salsa dancer and stuff. Even when I was coming in, the promoter of the event, like, "Are you a salsa dancer?" And I was like, "How can you tell?" I was like, "Just the way that you're standing." I was like, "What the heck?" Like, it was weird. Well, it wasn't weird, but it was also kind of cool. Like, yeah, that's right, I'm a dancer. You know, you got those vibes. But while I was there, I was playing it low key. You know, just wanted to chill, enjoy the music, enjoy the vibes. And I saw one of my old friends who I haven't seen in a year. And I said, "Hey, what's up?" And you know, the good old greeting. And then him and his girlfriend were starting to mention, like, "Yeah, I know you're busy, you're very popular, so we don't want to take too much of your time." And right when I said, "What are you talking about, bro? I'm just chilling," people started tapping me on the back of my shoulder in different directions. And I was like, "What the heck?" I was like, hey, what's going on?" And then, and they're all separate groups. They're not related at all. Wow. So, "Hey, what's up? How are you? Hey, how are you?" Some of them I haven't even met in person. They followed me on social media. And I'm one of those that if you follow me, I kind of look up who's following me. So I know it's like, all right, are you real or are you a fake account, whatever, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, this person who I've seen followed me, she said hi to me as if she knew me. And then as I, hugging and greeting her, she's like, "I follow you on Instagram." And I was like, wow, this is a really kind of surreal experience right now where right when I say that, like, I'm just chilling, who cares about me? All these people started coming around just saying hi to me. Mm-hmm. And I was just trying to chill in the back. And it made me think, like, wow, I was able to impact these people, some I've never met in person, in such a nice way that they actually want to walk up to me and say hi.
Right.
Like that. I don't take that very, very lightly. I was like, wow, this is awesome.
It's such an amazing feeling because there was clearly something that you have been doing that's been impacting them. Something that you've been putting out has definitely impacted them to pour back into you with such feedback. And I'm not sure if you've done it already, but actually I am sure you've done it. 100% I'm sure. One of the reasons why you're able to have that impact is because we've talked about it so much on our podcast. We've constantly done checks on ourselves. Mm-hmm. We've constantly said, okay, what is it that I'm doing that I don't like or that's negatively impacting? But clearly you had a positive impact. And so in order for you to audit yourself, it first requires that you take an outside look of yourself.
Yeah.
You can't really see your flaws completely when you're just looking from your point of view because we have a biased point of view, right? And so let's just give examples, like certain topics. Mm-hmm. You started with that was with people, but let's go into like maybe finances or something like that.
Yeah.
Finances. How do you audit your finances? Maybe you feel like you're spending too much. Maybe you don't even realize that you're spending too much in a certain area.
Or you don't even know how much you're spending. You just find out, like, why am I always broke at the end of after every paycheck 2 days after?
Right.
I used to live like that, so I know the feeling.
Right, but so many people do, right? And like, the only thing that you can do is actually look at how you're spending, where you're spending. Mm-hmm. And so the way you would audit yourself, something that's real easy, is we would look at bank statements, or there's even apps these days where you check to see, oh man, this is where I've spent this area. Oh man, I clearly spend too much, on this. I buy too much chips, too much whatever. I don't know.
I like how you say chips, like you know that I buy chips nonstop.
I know Robbie buys chips nonstop.
I just bought like 2 family pack of different chips. Like, all right, I got Ruffles yesterday, the sour cream and cheddar, and I got the hot Frito family pack. I already ate half of each bag by this today.
Yeah.
And I just bought it yesterday.
Dude, like, not even to go on a tangent, but I did the exact same thing with some barbecue chips.
Yeah.
And it was crazy. And like, not that this is about chips, right? You're gonna see where we're going with this. Auditing yourself, not just on a interpersonal level, but just in every single thing, it actually has an impact on how you interact with others. The reason why is because when you get yourself to the point of auditing yourself and actually seeing, okay, I don't like this, I need to make a change here, it allows for you to then continue that habit on in even your personal relationships. So with the financial example that we were using, by looking at your financial statements or looking at all of your spending categorized, you're able to say, okay, this is clearly taking away from my goal. I clearly see that this has been happening. Now I'm going to change this. And now I've done an audit that has been successful.
Yeah, or it's also identifying, all right, what am I doing to reach my goal? What current habits am I doing? So I obviously like chips, and I'm like, okay, how often do I buy chips? And how long, and then my purchasing habit also reflects how often I eat all my chips. So it's like, okay, cool, am I eating the chips and still hitting my fitness goals or my healthy lifestyle goals, right? So it's not necessarily saying that those chips are bad for you. It's just knowing how to manage what's going on.
Yeah, and I like that. Is it adding to your goal or is it taking away, right? Essentially, that's the whole point of doing an audit. You want to understand how it's impacting your overall goals and achievements. So yeah, I mean, that was just a small example with finances, but a little bigger example that may be harder for us to adjust to would be maybe public speaking.
Public speaking, yeah, and I kind of want to tie it back to like that experience of all those people saying hi to me. I'm pretty sure, besides the person, actually maybe the person who I didn't even know who just followed me on Instagram, she probably experienced a public speaking moment with me because I used to teach a lot of salsa bachata classes, and by the way, when I first got my first experience in public speaking, I froze. I was like 5 years old. They ask you, when someone comes to your school for the auditorium, they're like, who wants to come on stage? I was like, yeah. And then they gave me the mic. I froze. And it was simple. I didn't even have to say anything. I just had to blow into like this like weird horn flute. You know those big gigantic ones that they make kids have fun with? Yeah, he was like, I couldn't do it. And
oh my goodness.
And I remember that. And so that's one story of where now that I started teaching lessons, I had to be like, how can I impact the people as much as possible? Give them the value that they're looking for in an educational standpoint, as well as an entertainment standpoint, so that they see that it's not just do this, do that, but it's, oh, I'm having fun doing this. I'm meeting other people while I'm doing this. And Romi makes me feel positive about myself and the people around me. So I had to do that audit to be able to impact people, and then all of a sudden they're all saying hi to me. Yeah,
no, it makes total sense, because like when we do public speaking, a lot of us just don't want to look stupid. Like
I think that's the biggest fear. It's the biggest fear of criticism, that you're being stupid or what you just said does not make sense.
Yeah, exactly. And so because of that, one of the things that you might do to audit yourself so that you don't quote unquote look stupid would be, one, I would do practice. I would do preparation, excuse me. Like some things that I've done, if I'm doing public speaking, I have recorded myself speaking about a certain topic beforehand. And then I'd look back or listen to it and be like, oh man, I did a lot of ums, I did a lot of ands, I did this, I did that. And as I started to iron out those kinks, it made me more confident going into my public speaking. It didn't necessarily take away all the nerves, but it did allow for me to make some adjustments that made me better in the moment. Why is that important? Well, because when you're speaking, to avoid sounding stupid, you want to iron out all of the different things that would make you sound stupid. And so that's just a simple way to audit yourself. But what about in the moment?
In the moment, so like, well, before I get into the moment, like on the moment auditing, I want to talk about that example of preparing yourself for that, right? So that you don't sound stupid or unconfident. And one thing so I used to do was, hey guys, my name is Romi Sunga, come out to the dance floor. And then I'm like, this kind of sucks. No one wants to get on the dance floor, right?
Right.
And so the next week when I had to teach a lesson, I was like, all right, I know I need to introduce myself. I know I need to introduce what I'm gonna teach, and I need to get people on the dance floor. So I started practicing before I got on stage. Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is Romi Sunga, and I'm about to teach you how to dance salsa around the world. Come on out, come on out. That became my starting phrase, and I practiced it before I would actually get out there. So that when I got out there, I didn't feel stupid. I felt confident, and I was making eye contact. I was doing my Disney character. What's going on? Smiles and everything. And that drew people in. And then from there, I just stayed to what I know. I stayed to what I know, the topics I have, which now let's go back into on-the-spot auditing.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So now that I'm being loud, I'm being charismatic, people are coming, and because I'm also smiling, I'm making eye contact with them, saying hi as they're walking up, they're giving me that direct feedback that they're interested.
Yes.
That they want to learn. I'm like, all right, cool. Who's ready to dance? You ready to dance? Have you danced before? And I am making eye contact with them. They give me eye contact back. We are having that direct response, and I know that you're interested.
I like the fact that you say they're giving you that eye contact back. That's a clear example of what we were talking about earlier with the outbound impacts your inbound, right? If you were not giving clear eye contact, if you were kind of slouching around, if you weren't as confident, well, you might get back a response that's kind of bland. You might get a response that shows that people are ignoring you, right? So like it shows you that what you do has a consequence. And so when you're auditing yourself, you really want to see, okay, if my goal is for people to interact with me, for people to be just as excited about what I'm saying as I am, well, then I need to work on being more excited, being someone who has more conviction. But that only happens once you do an audit of yourself. And then when you're in the moment, the way you correct yourself is now that you've done this preparation and it's top of mind, when you realize that you're not actually doing what you're supposed to be doing, you don't make it just drag on. You just, okay, I just realized I wasn't doing that. Let me change my tone. I wasn't as excited. Let me get more excited.
Yeah, like, or there's even moments where maybe I start off excited. What's going on, you guys? My name is Romi Sam. Come on out, come on out. And there's not that many people coming in, like coming out to the dance floor. Well, I'm gonna, on the spot, I'm gonna be like, oh, I need to amp it up even more. And I need to get interacted with other people who's on the dance floor. So I start going to the random stranger. Hey, come on out. I know you wanna dance. What are you doing? You're in the club. You paid to get in. Come on, man, I got you. Come on. Don't be shy, don't be shy. So I'm auditing myself that I got some people, but I need more.
Yeah.
And so I need to change something, and I can't just talk to the people who are showing up. I gotta get the people in the back and then get them more excited. Even talking right now, I could feel the flow is different for me. I want people to come to the dance floor, so I change the way I think. I am reaching out to you so that you can come to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And just another thing too about this whole public speaking thing, being aware of the setting you're in and the surrounding also, like that's an audit check that you should do on yourself that should, influence how you perform. Here's why. In certain settings, I might be way more excited, way more loud, way more out and about going, that's just what I might do. But let me give you an example. When I was performing one time in Delaware.
As a rapper?
Yes.
Or, okay. I don't know, man.
Yes.
You got that button up,
Yeah. I was performing one time, I was rapping, right? I was performing my song called Good Morning America. If you haven't heard it, go check it out on YouTube. It's right there for you. But I was in a coffee shop. It was a local coffee shop in Delaware. And in this coffee shop, it was a more toned down, relaxed setting. And so it was different than what I would do in a bigger auditorium.
Like a club?
Something like that. I would be more excited. A lot more energy would come out. But I recognized the moment because I saw that it was a more chill setting. So I made my performance way more intimate and way more conversational. So rather than me being all hyped, I would just kind of like engage with the audience and was just a little bit more relaxed. And that was something that I was able to do on the spot only because I recognized beforehand what was it that I was trying to get out from the audience. I was like, you know what? I want to put out this good energy, but I also want to put out clarity. I want them to understand. I want people to be I want them to feel a sense of warmth. And because I already knew what those objectives were, I did a check on myself. I was then able to control how I engage with the audience. And then in return, I was able to get good feedback. I had some gentlemen who said, hey, you know what? I actually never really liked to listen to rap. He was like, but you actually changed my perspective today. He said, I really enjoyed what you were saying. And my biggest beef with rap music is that sometimes I really can't understand what they're saying. And so that feedback, it was really good for me because it validated that my outbound impacted my inbound in a really good way.
Yes, yes. And I like how you touched back that about what was your goal in your performance, right? And I think that's very important because maybe you are listening to me and Sam are watching us and you're telling yourself, these guys are very high energy, charismatic guys. I'm not like that. I'm a quiet person. I'm an introvert. Well, let me tell you this. After I do all that high energy stuff, I hide from the audience. I go in the back. I'm behind the DJ. I'm sitting, dude, like talk to any DJs I've worked for. They'll tell you. I've hidden right below the DJ booth so I can just chill for a moment. And it's because I know that when I'm on the stage, as a dance instructor, people want to be entertained. They want to have an experience besides an educational lesson of how to dance. They want the experience of like, hey, I'm learning something new. Oh, hey, I'm learning with my friend or my date or my family, and we're creating a memory together. So I understand that that's my goal, and that my goal is to entertain them and give them that memory. And if I'm not adjusting myself, auditing myself prior to that, then I'm gonna fail. And so I get out there, I go crazy in the sense of high charismatic personality, energy, body movement and everything. And then I tone it down again to re-energize myself. Because as I mentioned, people think I'm a very, very strong extrovert, that I thrive off of big crowds. Actually, at the concert last night, like I was just chilling in the back, dude. I don't want to talk to everybody. I just want to chill. If you want to talk personally, that's cool. And then it became a nightclub. And at the nightclub, I was in the back again.
Gotcha.
I'm just chilling. I don't need all that. It's what is the goal of the moment that we're in. If you're public speaking, you have to remind yourself that the people who are listening and watching you want value from you. They expect you to be able to provide value. So what this means is that you have value. And you have to remind yourself you have that value to communicate to them.
Beautiful. Like you have value to communicate to them. That is absolutely key. And I think that also carries on into our personal relationships or just how we interact with people in general. Like outside of just how you do a check on your finances and outside of how you do a check on, your public speaking performance, you also have to do a check on how you interact with others. Relationships are key to people's success in life. And a lot of times we don't realize what we're doing or how we're behaving when we're communicating with others and how it's negatively impacting. A lot of times we blame others. We say, oh man, this person was just weak, this person was just annoying, this person, they just weren't feeling me. But have we ever done a check on ourselves to understand why they weren't feeling us? For example, I've had conversations with my wife where sometimes she might be like, hey, it wasn't really what you said to me that bothered me. It was how you said it. Or did you see your facial expression? It was the
the facial expression, man. I have the stoic face, so I get that a lot.
Yeah. But now, obviously, I didn't see my facial expression. I couldn't see my facial expression. But it was something that was to let me know, like, hey, I'm taking away a different message than what you're intending to put out. The reason why you're getting this reaction from me is because what you're putting out is actually different than what you're saying. A lot of times we think that what we're saying should be the end all be all, but most of what somebody gets from your conversation is actually from nonverbal communication.
Yeah. Like touching on saying something with an intent, but they're receiving it differently. I still, maybe I do get in trouble right now. But say that you're saying something to me, and then I say, okay, like that. Your reaction right there, you're like, Romi, you're an idiot. Like obviously from your reaction. And that was me saying okay. In my mind, I was telling you, I acknowledge what you just told me.
Right.
I was paying attention. And I am acknowledging that you finished what you just said. But to the people I was speaking with, they're like, you don't care. like that felt really like that felt bad. Like you just don't care about what I'm saying. Even though in my mind I'm like, no, I'm acknowledging that you just said a statement. And depending on the situation, I acknowledged it and I took it under advisement, and then we'll just move forward.
Right.
But that intent is not being communicated properly, because I just say, okay, with that same tone, that like nonchalant stuff. So watch out for that.
Yeah, watch out. And the reason why we save this specific topic about auditing yourself when it comes down to personal relationships for last is because it's actually the hardest one to overcome.
Yeah.
Right? Like if I'm looking at finances, it's just black and white. I can see what I spent on. Public speaking, again, you get feedback, you can kind of see where you need to get better at. But when you're talking with people or you're building relationships, not just, intimate relationships, but just relationships in general, because of different cultures, because of different experiences that people have had, different backgrounds, everyone receives what you're saying very, very differently. And so you have to adjust accordingly. And so when it comes down to self-auditing yourself, when it comes down to relationships, this is where you have to really have your head on a swivel. How quickly are you able to adapt in the moment, I think really, really matters, because I might, like, for example, when we look back at some of the recordings, when we have our Mindset Rebooted podcast episodes, you'll look back and you'll be like, hey bro, my face is so stoic. And like sometimes I will talk to them and be like, hey, yeah, I noticed that. Sometimes I think you're looking at me like, all right, move on.
Well, actually, when we first started our podcast, that was your feedback to me.
Yeah.
Because I was like, let me show you respect by just paying attention to you and not disrupting your talk flow.
Right.
And then after like an hour and a half, you're like, I felt like I was being interviewed, Romi. Like, it felt weird.
Yeah.
And I was like, I was showing you respect. My intent did not match what you were receiving.
Yeah. And so, like, what are some of the things that we can do? For example, one thing that I do is I try to make it a point to explain to someone my behavior pattern beforehand. That way they don't get the wrong message. For example, if I'm in a certain place where I'm taking notes. We have technology. Sometimes we don't really take notes on pen and pad. Sometimes we do it on our phone. I might tell the person in the moment, hey, by the way, I am listening to you. I'm jotting down notes on my phone. I want you to understand that, because you might take it as, oh, this dude is not even interested in what I'm saying. He's just texting away. But by me explaining that to you, it now might make you say, oh, okay, no, you're good. And so I effectively communicated, hey, I'm engaged with you.
Yeah. And one other tactic you could also do, besides, kind of pre-framing that conversation, is practice active listening. Yeah. So when you say that you had a whole monologue about an issue you were having, and I just and that took you maybe 3 minutes to communicate to me, and I just say, okay, that's 1 second. That's horrible active listening. What I could do is I could kind of restate what you mentioned to me, summarize it, and ask, am I understanding you correctly? Am I hearing you right? And that shows to you now, like, okay, cool, Romi actually does, he cares about what I'm saying. And for me, I'm very like problem solving oriented. So I'm like, okay, so am I understanding you correctly? And then I could ask, do you need help fixing this? Do you want me to give you my opinion of how to fix this? And now I'm showing you that, one, I paid attention, I understand what you're trying to communicate, and I'm asking you for how can I help?
I love that. That is so beautiful. And speaking of asking questions, it might be if somebody presents their problem to you, like, hey, I have a problem with you, you do this. A clarifying question might be like, can you like give me an example of when, where, or something like that. The reason why asking for examples matters is because if somebody doesn't give you an example, it makes it seem like they're just giving you a generalization. And so when they generalize something, you might think that they're just in their feelings, they're just being biased, whatever. But when somebody provides a concrete example, or if you provide a concrete example, it allows for it to move from just general to being like, oh, this is actually a fact. It's evidence-based, and it allows for some type of change in behavior to occur.
Yeah, and like when you give me a very specific example, in my head, I'm like, okay, now that I know that that was true, that it did impact you in this way, and that you would prefer me to respond differently, I know how to adjust it for you moving forward.
Yeah.
Because what may not be funny for you, maybe it's funny for my other friend. So I learned how to interact with the people differently, and that's what makes it kind of complicated, because we can't treat each other the same way. And you mentioned earlier, it's paper on a financial statement, that's easier, you just see it, it's black and white. In a group setting, when you're the presenter or speaker, you're doing most of the communicating, the verbal communication. But in this instance of interpersonal, there is that back and forth, and I've found that it actually helps me more if I try and shut up more. Because I know that I get long-winded, but I find that I have the most impact on people, whether that's helping them with whatever problem they have at that moment, or just helping them vent if I just shut up.
Yeah. That's a huge part of it. There's been times where I've actually given feedback to my wife or somebody, and really she's like, hey, I really just wanted you to listen. And I'm just like, oh wow. Like sometimes people just want you to listen. That's so big. And I will say this, whether it's us or somebody else, one of the big things that you should audit when it comes down to interpersonal relationships is that if you're going to express a point of contention with somebody, it should also be done in a timely manner. When you wait too long, it loses its effect. You want to make sure that you do it in a timely manner so that it's fresh and that it's relevant, and then you can also move on. Reason why is because if you hold on to something, really you're just letting it build up, and then what you put out to people, it's not going to be something positive, it's going to be negative. Why? Because you've been held back from being a light, being positive, from all of the negative thoughts that you've been harboring. So it's best to address something promptly, get it resolved. That way you have nothing else cluttering your judgment. You can move forward and everything could be better.
And I wanna finish up by giving a very simple example of what you just mean. Say that, hey, my name is Romi, but someone here is Tommy, and he keeps calling me Tommy, she keeps calling me Tommy. I never fix it. And then 6 months later, and they're like, Tommy. I'm like, my name is fucking Romi, don't call me Tommy. It just builds up, right? And that is, I'm obviously adding some humor to it, but there are people who experience this where they're called the wrong name, they never fixed it or spoke on it at the very beginning, and now it's just, we see those jokes where like, he's been calling me Tommy for years, it is what it is, right? We know people like that. So, but we also gotta remember, those instances, like you said, sometimes that long time of being called the wrong name might manifest itself to a negative outburst.
Exactly. And for a while, I've been sharing with Romi that coffee is better with cream and not just black.
No,
and
black coffee gang, let's go.
So on a serious note, just to summarize everything that we've talked about today, we talked about auditing ourselves and how your outbound impacts your inbound, meaning that what you put out impacts what people give back to you. Why is this important? Because we put a lot of focus on auditing our circle and those around us, but we really want to get towards fixing ourselves so that we can have the best results in terms of achieving our goals. If you got great value out of this content today, please make sure you subscribe to this podcast and that you share it with someone else, because that's really how we reach even more people. And please make sure you follow Mindset Rebooted podcast on all social media platforms. You can follow me personally. My handle should be right there.
It's in the, you remember now, yeah, it's in the captions now, y'all.
In the captions,
in the captions, I know, right? And if you're listening to us and you wanna see the visual version, we will be on YouTube. The video version usually comes out a few days after the audio version, but it's gonna be there. And I think we started doing t-shirts now, right?
Yes.
People could buy apparel if they want to support us. That's an awesome way. We do this, we record these conversations for free because we want to help other people. And by purchasing some of those merchandise, that helps us be able to provide even more and get some guests out as well.
Absolutely. So thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, Mindset Rebooted.
Sometimes when things go wrong, you can't blame life. Cause when you shot your shot, what was your aim like? What were you targeting? Cause if it ain't right, and you still go with it, then that is on you.